Hello, hello. Welcome to Monday Night Comics. I did not put together a little intro video this time, so this is the new intro, showing my logo and the music. So you'll just have to kind of deal. All right. So let's see, what are we going to get into this time? All right, we'll be done with that now. Okay, let's get into League of Comic Geeks, and we'll talk a bit about what I have going on this week. So it was a pretty light week for me, again. And so it, there we go. Okay. Yeah, so it was a pretty light week for me. I didn't have a lot on my pull list, and I was a little busy otherwise, in terms of the ability to do a lot of reading. So I didn't quite get to read as much as I'd hoped, but I did get to read a little bit, and we'll talk a little bit about those, as well as a few things that I'm looking forward to reading. Not necessarily new releases, but just new items that are new books that I plan on reading in the coming days. So we'll start with Justice League Unlimited. So this was the only book that I had on my pull list from last week, and so you see it came out February 26th, and like, to be honest with you, this book has been a bit of a struggle because we're only 4 issues in, but at the same time, it doesn't feel like a particularly memorable story. It honestly feels a lot like we're just kind of coasting along with this. And apart from the art, right? Like, so Dan Mora and Tamara Bonvillain are phenomenal, right? There's no doubt about that. I mean, there's a fantastic cover. There's a nice moment in this one between Batman and Martian Manhunter, and they're even featured on the cover. But overall, just the story it's honestly just a little bit bland. I don't love it. I'm wondering if once we get a little bit more insight into what's going on with Airwave, if it's going to be a little more exciting or interesting. I'm not planning on dropping this because I need for it to be good. I want for it to be good. So, it's, like, if you look at the art here, like, it's beautiful to look at. Like, there's no doubt about that. I think the biggest problem is just that the story's like a little boring. I mean, it's essentially these like super terrorists that are setting fire to the Amazon, and not like the Amazons like Wonder Woman, but like the Amazon, like the rainforest. And so it doesn't feel like there's a whole lot to it. And I understand that the whole point of Justice League Unlimited is that you have this enormous cast of characters to play with. But I think that perhaps a better way to go about that, rather than just featuring like a boatload of characters in each issue, would be to take, 2 or 3 issue story arcs and focus on smaller teams and have it like rotate. And rather than just trying to fit everybody in, it ends up being a lot. And it's kind of just, it's a bit tough to follow. I ended up giving this 3 stars just because like I had to at least give it that, because of the art, right? I mean, the art alone was worth, picking up the book. But the story is just, it's dragging, and we're only 4 issues in, so I'm going to give it its fair amount of time. But the story has not been has not lived up to this world's finest um, team, the team that has one of my favorite books. So, uh, okay, so we had Justice League last week, and this week the only thing I'm pulling is Space Ghost. Um, so let me see. I was gonna say Francesco Matina's doing the cover here. It's kind of a strange looking Space Ghost. His head looks really tiny. Um, but so the solicit here in this issue, a dark and shocking figure from the future emerges, presenting a new yet disturbingly familiar threat to the team. Together, they must stand fast against the tide of evil that is about to be unleashed, or else doom will sweep across the entire galaxy. I just want to point out that doom is capitalized. That's all I'm saying. I'm not going to elaborate any further. So Space Ghost comes out this Wednesday. I get review copies of Space Ghost, and so this was a this was definitely a good issue. I don't think I rated this one yet. No, I didn't rate it yet. It was a good issue. It features the. Let me see if they have a little preview. No preview of this one. It features the Space Spectre, right? Which is he's like the inverse of Space Ghost, and you find out who that is. It mentions a dark and shocking figure from the future, right? To be honest, it felt a little obvious at first who it was. Whenever I read it, but maybe not to everyone. But it didn't really ruin it for me because I still liked it. And then additionally, the final page is essentially like this is setting up Space Ghost, I think, probably for the next year, which I'm very excited for. It was a really quality issue. We just got off the back of a two-parter with Metalis, I believe in issues 8 and 9. Is that right? Yes. Yeah, we just finished up with Metalis. So this is back to that one. Issue story arc format, which I was excited to see because sometimes it's nice to just be able to get that sort of compact story and rather than trying to read something that's a bunch of issues long and drawn out. So I liked this one a lot. Like I said, I got the advanced review copy, so that was cool. But yeah, I mean, again, this is one where I feel like you can pick up Space Ghost and you can read it without having read the other issues. And I say that every time I talk about Space Ghost, but I think it's really important to note because I know that when people are looking at new comics, oftentimes how lost they're going to be in the story is a huge factor as to whether or not they'll pick it up. And so I think that knowing that Space Ghost is every issue is extremely new reader friendly. Honestly, even the second parts of two-parters are still fairly new reader friendly because you still kind of get that flavor from the prior issue. So another really good entry from Space Ghost. I feel like this creative team's just really getting into their groove here, which I love. This Bjorn Barons variant is nice. If I might actually go with this one instead of the A cover. Where's this one? This is the Anthony Marquez variant. Yeah, there's a lot of good variant covers on Space Ghost this month. So there's a strong possibility that I'm going to be going with one of those instead of the A cover. Because like I kind of said, that it's kind of a strange look. It's got like a little head. I'm not sure. I know that Matina was there was some concerns about him having used AI. I haven't noticed that in his Space Ghost covers. I know that in the one Superman cover that he did, it was kind of questionable, but I mean, that, to be honest, it doesn't really play much of a factor with me in this case, because I mean, unless I can tell that the actual cover that I'm purchasing is using AI, I'm okay with, people make mistakes, it happens. But I do really like this Bjorn Barons one. I know it's like an acquired taste for him, but I love like the red background here, and he's just like the lightning in the eyes. I think that's an awesome one. That might be the winner. I could go with Bjorn Barons or Anthony Marquez, either one. Jay Lee's been doing some covers on these. I like Jay Lee's covers. See, and his has the Space Spectre on it, so that's kind of cool. And but I read a while back. I read Jay Lee's Batman Superman run, and his interiors are they're just a little tough for me. They're not my favorite interiors in the world, but I do like a lot of his covers, and he has been doing covers for Space Ghost, so that's been pretty solid. So, what else do we have going on here? Okay, so one thing I wanted to bring up here is Fantagraphics sent me Raised by Ghosts. It is a YA book by Brianna Lowenson, and I haven't had a chance to read it yet, but I have flipped through it, and I do really like the quality of this book here. So let me see if I can flip the camera around a bit and kind of just show you guys what I'm working with here. Okay. So we got Raised by Ghosts, all right? And so it's this trade paperback. It's a lot thicker, right? I mean, how many pages do we have here? We're talking about over 200 pages, right? And at a price point of $19, that's not a bad deal. So the basis of the story, and so like here, we'll just like look at this a little bit here. This brilliant young adult graphic novel is a love letter to family and friends and all the messy complexities they come with, from the acclaimed author of the 2024 Forward Magazine's Editor Choice Prize for Ephemera, a memoir. Now, the one thing I noticed on this that was a little, I didn't really care for, is this comment by Julia Wirtz on the back here, mentioning, if parental neglect leads to brilliant cartoonists like Brianna, maybe we should all neglect our kids a little more. I don't care for that comment. And so let me actually stop sharing the screen so we can get the big full view here. Okay. That was, I felt like that was a bit off color. I didn't care for that comment, but either way, the cover's this nice textured cover, and so I don't know if you can kind of get that from looking at this, but it's like all done in kind of smaller numbers of panels. There's letters, and let's see, like there was that there. It seems like it's just like a really, like she just put a lot of care and attention into this book. And then obviously like Fantagraphics does such a wonderful job putting together great books. And I was just mentioning on League of Comic Geeks today that like I'm a sucker for a well put together book, right? And so, like I said, I haven't read this yet, so I can't speak to the content of it. But what I can say is that it's extremely well put together. And so this came out on February 5th, I believe. And so I'll make sure that like on Blue Sky or something, I post a link to this once I've had a chance to read it. But yeah, I mean, I wanted to point this one out. I got, to be honest, I got this a while back, and I feel a little bad that I haven't had a chance to review it yet. So, um, but like it's really nice art. It's really well put together. It seems like really creative style with all these different letters. And we still have, the speech bubbles and everything. So, the one thing I will definitely be commenting on is whether or not it is like what age group it's really for, right? So like it's YA in name, right? It's mentioned that it's a YA book, and so I know that a lot of times the actual age group that YA books are for can be kind of up for debate, right? Especially considering your parenting style and that sort of thing. So just looking at it, it seems like it would be probably appropriate for like middle schoolers. It seems like there's a lot of like relationship drama. So like if that's not something that you're ready for your kids to be into, which I mean, if they're reading YA, then they probably should be, able to read something like that. But yeah, no, I mean, I'm excited to get into this one. It's definitely not my usual thing to kind of take on. But I know that Fantagraphics just does such a good job, and it looked, pretty interesting. So yeah, I mean, Raised by Ghosts. Keep an eye out. I'll probably be doing a separate video on this one to kind of talk about, review it in full and show everyone where to get it and everything like that. But yeah, so keep an eye out for that video. Should be a good one. Now, the next one is a very, very special one. It is a 1-of-1 copy of the Diva Dare comic book. Now, who is Diva Dare, you ask? This is a comic that my daughter, who I will be leaving her name off, she made this comic. Okay. So she was very excited to make this. I can't remember the name of that. My kids all do this drawing video that shows how to do cartoons, and it's Bill something, and I can't recall the full name of the video, but Diva Dare is one of the characters that he has them draw, and my daughter just kind of took it and ran with it. And you can see like this is like every single page in here is filled out, right? She did such a great job with this, and she's got all these jokes in there, and she's got like recurring jokes, which is great. It's really cool to see her, doing that. Mr. Vile is the villain. And so they actually today, my kids were all rehearsing for a Diva Dare movie that they are going to make. And so, they're getting into the whole franchise thing. And yeah, I mean, it's a funny book. Just seeing my daughter's humor, come out in the pages is great, because she, I mean, it's some really goofy humor. Diva Dare, I think, calls her mother Mutter, which is very, very much my daughter's style of humor, the silly voices. And one thing I'm noticing here is Diva Dare sitting there watching football. It says "Go Steelers," right? So, go Steelers. Yeah. So this has Diva Dare Christmas, Diva Dare Halloween, Diva Dare 4th of July, Diva Dare Birthday. And what are these other ones? Diva Dare or something else? I don't know, but yeah, I mean, it's cool to see the full narrative of it all, right? Um, she did such a great job getting all the panels in here and like getting creative with them too, right? Because we've got kind of a splash page over here with these three, right outside of the panels. Um, it's cool to see that my kids are getting interested in comics, even at a much earlier age than I ever did, because I didn't get into comics until much later. But I no, I think it's great that they're getting into these and how much they seem to like them. So that's Diva Dare by my daughter. It is not for sale anywhere. I apologize. I feel like I'm maybe flaunting a little bit because I have the only copy. But maybe someday it'll be on shelves. We'll see. So the next thing I want to talk a bit about is I backed a Kickstarter with Jose Cardenas and Frederick Horning for Pulp Traps. And so this is just like a really old school like horror book. And it's got a handful of stories in it. I don't think they're planning on doing a whole lot more. But I think this was just kind of a one-time project thing. But I talked with Frederick on my channel a while back, and I have a video of him, and I think his art's just fantastic. And so, like, apart from his Seconds to Midnight ashcan, this is the first book that I have that's full of his interiors. And so, like, check this pin. Like, that's a classic horror cover. I mean, you see the EC inspiration, and like, I mean, like, it's got that like weathered look to the paper and everything. It's fantastic. The one thing I'm not sure of is if they're planning on selling these like separately from the Kickstarter. Because I got this by backing the Kickstarter, but I don't know if these are going to be for sale anywhere else. And look at that. The purging of the gray. In this house awaits a terror from beyond. Yeah. Now this is really good stuff. If you're a horror fan, I'm going to make sure to check out and their websites and see if this is going to be available elsewhere. And we got a thank you to all of our backers, and I didn't even realize this. And Dan Starszewski, there I am. That was exciting. And so, yeah, it's cool to see all the backers here. And so, Frederick Horning is probably currently crouched behind a drawing board somewhere in the backwoods of Germany. That sounds about right. I came across Frederick's work from Boom Studios. I want to say Seconds to Midnight, but that's his book. Hello, Darkness. So I just thought it was just this really cool pulpy look, and it did not disappoint because all of his work has that same quality to it, and just the textures that he works with are phenomenal. I mean, it's just like to see like the stain on the on the speech bubble there is fantastic. I mean, it's just really, really great stuff. I'm definitely going to, so keep an eye on my my Blue Sky account, because I will absolutely be posting a link to this if they are selling it separately. But yeah, this has got to be one of my favorite books in my collection, just because it's just a showcase of of Frederick's art. So really great stuff. But yeah, so pretty good stuff there. Like I said, this has been something of a smaller week. So let's get back to sharing Leah Comic Geeks again. I have recently read the first 3 volumes of Ram V's Detective Comics, and I have been enjoying it quite a bit more than I liked Chip Zdarsky's Batman run. And that's not to say that Chip's Batman run doesn't have its strong points. I think that there's a lot of good that he's doing in that run. I did end up dropping it just because it can get expensive to follow an ongoing, and if it's not quite up to the standards of what you're looking for, then dropping it's the move, right? So I had made the decision pretty early on to read Ram V's run in trade just because of how it was developing slowly. There's a lot to remember, and I tend to forget things that happen in between issues. So this definitely, if that's the kind of reader that you are, this lends itself to reading in trade much better. But it's very good. It's very well done. The art by Ivan Reis is fantastic. He's such a good artist, and so it's interesting. I really like the kind of callback, not even callback, but references to like Ra's al Ghul and sort of that culture and kind of what's going on behind the scenes there, then how Ram V is tying it into the story in total, or in its entirety. I think it just adds a lot of like meat to Damian Wayne's backstory and to Talia's backstory and to Raish's backstory. And in addition to that, I love how meaningful these backups in this have been. I mean, the Jim Gordon backup, the Two-Face backup, they mean something to the main story. Like they're separate stories at the beginning, but then they end up tying into the main story. Which, I mean, like that's what we want when we have this serialized story, right? We want the whole story to mean something, not just have kind of off the side, things, right? Now, that being said, I think that there's a place for books that have backups that are sort of just side fun stories. But I don't think that would have lended itself well here. And I'm glad that Ram V chose to have them tie in. So I thought that that was a good decision there. So I'm up through Act 2, which is the 3rd volume, because there's a prologue, Act 1 and Act 2. And so this is the intermission. And I am going to be following this. This is going to be the next one that I'll get. Let me see. When did this come out? It came out in December. So I've been reading these from the library, so I'm not sure if they'll have it or not. And that one's coming out soon, Volume 5, which I believe that might be the last one. Yes, because then this one is Tom Taylor's run. Okay. So I really just have 2 more volumes to go. But it's been enjoyable. I've been looking forward to reading this for a while now. Because like I said, I made a decision pretty early on to read only to read this in trade. So it's been good. I'm I'm looking forward to getting into volume 4 and then 5 and concluding the story. So the next thing here that I want to touch on um, is Helen of Windhorn. The hardcover is coming out this week, and I haven't finished this story yet. My my store never got Helen of Windhorn number 6 in, even though it was on my pull list. It can be a little bit challenging at the store that I go to get indie books, particularly Dark Horse and Dynamite can be a bit of a challenge. But I mean, Dynamite, and I don't know if it has to do with the distributors or not, but the Dynamite books, I almost just expect them not to be there until the following week. So like, for example, like I'm going to have Space Ghost this week, and I'm going to have Space Ghost this week. And so I wouldn't be surprised at all if I go in on Wednesday and it's not there, and then it doesn't show up till next week. However, thankfully, I get the advanced review copy of Space Ghost, so I did get to already read it. But yeah, so I never got Helen of Windhorn number 6, but issues 1 through 5 have been incredible. And so the hardcover comes out this week, and I imagine, I mean, this is like pretty classic Tom King, to where it's extremely wordy and he just kind of goes and goes. And so on one hand, it bugs me a little bit because he should be letting Bilquis, or you would think that he should be letting Bilquis Evely's art speak for itself. But a lot of his writing in this, it's not necessarily descriptive. So it's not like he isn't letting the art speak. He's really just providing context around the other side. So I do appreciate that. And I think that then will lend itself to being read all at once a bit better. Right. And so I think that, it'll be kind of nice once I do finally get my hands on issue number 6 to just kind of sit down and read all of them together. So, maybe kind of a blessing in disguise there. Because again, like I said before, like I have a really bad habit of forgetting things that happened the prior month. So it's kind of good that I'm going to be able to take a reread of that. Now, the hardcover comes out this week. 30, I think it said hardcover. Yeah, perfect bound. $30 for 176 pages. I don't know all that much about Dark Horse's hardcovers, so I can't speak to the quality of the book there. But like I said before, like this is going to read well, in compiled format. So definitely, let's see, look at this comment right here. If you didn't read this series as it was coming out, please, please, please get this and read it. That is all. And so, yeah, I mean, I can't agree with that more. Let me look and see. What did I give all these issues? Let's see. Remember, I thought issue 1 was, 5 stars on issue 1. So not a surprise there. 4.5 on issue number 2. 4 stars on issue number 3. 4.5 on issue number 4. And 4 stars on issue number 5. Yeah, I mean, Bilquis Evely, I mean, if you haven't seen her work before, then this is a great opportunity to do so, because she absolutely rocks this book, like with every fiber of her being. It's truly incredible. And I don't know, let me see if there's a preview of it in here. I don't know if because they didn't have the previews at this point. Okay. Yeah, so Bilquis Evely, just unbelievable. And so she also did Supergirl. I'll see if it's listed out here. Okay, so I guess she might have done some covers for Animal Pound. She did, so there's Helen of Windhorn. She did a bit on Detective Comics, as you can see. And then, where is it in here? Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow. Yeah, so that's another Tom King book. So yeah, those two work really well together. She's just incredible. I don't know what else she has going on now. It says upcoming comics. She has okay, so she did a variant cover for this new Supergirl #1 book. That's kind of cool. Oh, it's an incentive cover too. Yeah, and she went, although that's a slightly different design than her original, her design from Woman of Tomorrow. But either way, yeah, that's interesting. I'm just not sure what else she has coming up. I'll have to look into that. But yeah, so Helen of Windhorn, absolutely look into that hardcover. It's gonna be fantastic. This one, this list I want to look at, and I do this on League of Comic Geeks, where I basically just do a community list of the top 10 most pulled books of the week. And so there's not a great resource for comic sales in general, right? Now, I know a lot of people use this site just for pulling their books, right? I know comic shops use this site at times. And so I just thought that this would give a good idea as to how popular books are. Now, I get this information from the site. You can sort the books by most pulled, and I look at all publishers, and it's just the top 10 there. But this makes it a little easier to look at, and kind of provides a soundboard for the community to talk about it. So you can see I've got a couple comments there to reply to. So the most pulled book on the list is Ultimates, number 10. I think I said this on a recent stream as well, that I really need to get into the Ultimates. I mean, from everything I've seen, everybody loves it. It beat out an X-Men book, which is extremely impressive, because generally speaking, what you'll see in these lists is Batman books at the top, X-Men books at the top, Spider-Man books at the top. And so it's no surprise to see Uncanny X-Men number 11, the second one here, as well as Wolverine number 7 here. Now, Poison Ivy at the 4th highest book is pretty crazy. Now, the interesting thing here is the title here, Memento Mori. I think what's interesting, and it doesn't look like it's actually, no, it doesn't look like it's actually related at all. But the Batman and Robin book that's being done by Philip Kennedy Johnson actually has the main villain's name is Memento. So I thought for a second that was tying into this somehow, which was interesting because I didn't really expect that, but it looks like it's something different. That's an interesting design for Poison Ivy. It's a little more like muted, like less green and more brown. Yeah, and that's a Jenny Frison variant. She does some good covers. What else do we have here? Immortal Thor. I've been meaning, I think I've read the first issue of that a few times in an attempt to kind of start getting caught up on it. I have the first trade for Immortal Thor in my upstairs from the library, but I haven't gotten around to it yet. That'll probably be pretty soon. Batgirl number 5. That's a really cool cover that I like. And obviously, like, if this is like one of the most pulled books, I mean, even on like a slower week, right? Like the even on a slower week where like main Batman title's not coming out, main Spider-Man title's not coming out. The fact that it's number 6 is pretty crazy. It's pretty impressive. And so same with like some of these other ones, right? So like Birds of Prey number 19, which I think it's pretty impressive that that Birds of Prey has made it 19 issues. Not to say that it wasn't a good book. I'm just impressed that a sort of I'll say somewhat of and I'll probably get some heat for this, but something of a B-list team, right? I mean, it's not the Justice League, it's not the Titans. They're kind of a secondary team. It's impressive that they're able to last this long. And also, my understanding is that Barbara Gordon is not really that prevalent in this book. She's in it, but I don't think she's all that prevalent, which I think makes it even more impressive that it's so popular. So Storm being up here makes some sense. I mean, it's in the X-Men line of books, so it's going to be up there. Same with NYX. Moon Knight at number 10 is pretty cool. Definitely interesting. Now I'm going to see if I can find. No, I'm not going to bother. But like I mentioned here, Spectacular Spider-Man not making the top 10 list is definitely interesting. I will say that like the main Batman title didn't come out this week. Amazing Spider-Man didn't come out or isn't coming out this week. While Uncanny X-Men is coming out, X-Men is not. So like there was some space in this top 10. Ultimate Spider-Man wasn't coming out. I don't think there's any Absolute books coming out. So there was some space in this top 10 this week to look at or to get some of these other books in here. So definitely a cool list here. And Space Ghost actually wasn't that far from being in the top 10. I think it was like 16 or something, which is pretty cool. I like that because I think Space Ghost is a really good book, and I hope that people keep pulling it so that it'll continue. Because David Pepose has said that he has stories for days. But yeah, so that's the top 10 here. And let's see if we can look at some other stuff. It's always nice at the end of the stream to go to the kind of the Discover tab here and look at what's going on. So we're into the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles run, 7 issues into that, which is surprising because it feels like yesterday that it was coming out. See what Mad Cave has going on. I saw this Blade Forger from Mad Cave. I may take a look at this simply because it's giving off Conan the Barbarian vibes. But that comes out this week, and I have a copy of the like the review copy in my inbox, so that's definitely worth getting into. I don't know what this Legacy of Violence is. Colin Bunn writes everything. He writes so many books. We got Missing on the Moon number 3. I need to get caught up on that because I just had number 2. So some recently announced titles. Peter Milligan's The Pale Knight. That's interesting. Whatever Happened to Crimson Justice? There was a time when the red alert shone in the sky. Empire City's greatest hero, the Crimson Justice, answered the call. It's years. Been years, neither he nor his sidekick Reddy nor their psychotic arch foe, Dr. Mayhem, have been seen since the great Empire City Hospital fire a decade ago. What happened that night? Did they die? Okay, so who's Dr. Mayhem? Murdering Commissioner Thomas Kent, challenging the Justice Return. Eisner-nominated team of Frank Thierry and Inaki Miranda, who he actually was also doing the work on that Conan the Barbarian-esque book. As they unravel the mystery in this 5-issue series. I like that title a lot, and the cover looks cool, and I think that that's definitely be one worth looking into. And that was recently announced. And when's that coming out? May. We got a little bit until that one happens, but see, we got Dick Tracy there. Final order cutoff reminders. Oh, and I'm gonna my battery's getting low, so I'm gonna have to wrap this stream up sooner rather than later. So final order cutoff reminders. Yeah, so Past Time. I'm definitely going to try to put out a review of Past Time coming up here, because I want to get it in before the March 10th final order cutoff. It's definitely worth looking into, and I want you to check out the review that I have coming up to see if it's something that you'll be interested in. So let's see, what does Boom have going on? Featured releases this week. I feel like I need to figure out how to get into more Jim Henson stuff, because obviously, like, I'm a big Muppets guy, but like a lot of this other stuff that he did, I don't know that I like fully understand it. So yeah, not a lot of new announcements from Boom since we last streamed. The Killer Affairs of the State. I'm not sure what that one is. Looks like someone was reading Once and Future. Nothing wrong with that. Let's look at Oni Press. Releases this week. Cruel Kingdom. I haven't gotten into that one. Recently announced titles. Nothing really new from the last time we streamed. Let's look at Image, because I think that. So we've got Moon Man, which I believe has Kyle Higgins on it. Yeah. And Scott Muscuddy, aka Kid Cudi. New Monkey Meat from Junie Ba. Yeah. So there's that. Recently announced titles. This is kind of the same stuff again that we saw before. So nothing too new. IDW. That's a great cover. Night Watcher. I had to drop it after the first issue. It's not that I didn't like it. I just it didn't make the cut when I was narrowing down my pull list. Not a lot from IDW in this case. Titan. I don't really read a lot of Titan, if I'm being honest. Yeah, I mean, I know they have Conan, but Dynamite, new Gargoyles miniseries, Giant Size Wacky Races, Captain Planet. Oh yeah, that's right. David Pepis is doing Captain Planet. Yeah, that should be good. I've kind of wondered how the Powerpuff Girls book is. The same with DuckTales. So if anyone has any opinions on that, let me know. Guess we can check out the big two while we're at it. Space Age trade paperback. A new Crypto series. That's pretty cool. Mr. Terrific. Honestly, he looks so cool in the new Superman movie trailer that I might just pick up this new Mr. Terrific book. I mean, it just looks fantastic. It's Final Order cutoffs, Absolute Green Lantern, Fire and Ice, Summer of Superman special. I don't know if I'm gonna get into that or not. I've already got the World's Finest annual on my pull list. So it's the Power Company. I was kind of disappointed. I thought that the Power Company, it looked like it was going to be an ongoing, but I don't think it's going to be. It's a one-shot. Yeah, see, I'm not a fan of it being a one-shot. I wish that it was going to be kind of an ongoing, because it seems like a cool team to put together. Yeah, let's see what Marvel has going on, and then we can wrap it up before my computer dies. Marvel. Jeff Loeb and Tim Sale Daredevil trade. I'm guessing that has Daredevil yellow. Yeah. Yeah, I don't understand why it doesn't just say Daredevil yellow. It's kind of weird. Recently announced titles: Bring on the Bad Guys, Doom. That looks like a one-shot. Jeff the Landshark, Death of the Silver Surfer, interesting. Final Order cutoff reminders. Godzilla versus Spider-Man looks cool. We got Godzilla versus Spider-Man, Predator versus Spider-Man, Godzilla versus X-Men. New Star Wars book. It's very tempting to pick this up and run with it. It'd be cool if this was all ages, because I'd really like to be able to pull this for my kids, but I get the feeling that it's not going to be all ages. And so maybe I'll pull it and then, read it ahead of time, since I'm kind of interested in reading it anyway. And then we'll see from there. But I have a feeling it's not going to be age appropriate for them. So, okay. Well, it's a pretty good overview of what's going on, what's getting released in the comic world these days. Recently announced, nothing really new for Dark Horse. Final Order cutoffs, some Star Wars stuff there. But yeah, okay. Well, I appreciate everyone taking the time to join the stream, and I appreciate you watching. Make sure you like the video, share the replay, watch the replay, and check out the other videos on my channel. I have been mostly just doing streams lately, but I am kind of working my way back to getting some more review videos, and it just the streams end up taking less of my time, and I actually get more more stuff out there because I don't have to take all the time to edit the videos or basically write the script, edit the videos, all that stuff. And on a stream, I can just come and talk about comics for an hour. So appreciated everyone watching. Thank you very much, and have a good Monday night.